I mean, we gotta sit on him at least.
Thanks for your time.
Hey, who's got your back, huh? Me, that's who.
I'll keep that in mind.
Hey guys, Kiwi here. In this video, I'll be giving my top 5 countdown for the best main characters from Breaking Bad that are now in Better Call Saul. This list will focus on the first 3 seasons of the show, as there have only been 3 full seasons released so far. With that being said, warning is spoilers of everything in Breaking Bad along with everything in Better Call Saul up to the season 3 finale, and let's jump right into this. So this countdown is strictly for characters that were in the Breaking Bad TV show. This means that characters such as Howard, Kim, or Chuck won't be on the list because they are original to Better Call Saul. Now I have another countdown focusing on the top original Better Call Saul characters as well, so feel free to check that out afterwards if you're interested. Now there are many faces that pop up in the show, but some are more cameos than others. I'd like to focus on the main characters that get a lot of screen time and actually evolve during the show. And as far as honorable mentions go, there are many people worth mentioning, such as Don Eladio or Lydia, and I would have possibly put them on the list instead, but I feel like they need more screen time in the series to classify as being more important to the show overall. I'll be doing a top 5 video on Breaking Bad cameos in Better Call Saul as well, so be sure to look out for that in the near future. At our number 5 spot, we have Tuco Salamanca. Now, I know that he hasn't even been shown in the 3rd season, but I do believe that he has a key importance to the show.
1 leg each. That total of 2 legs. Hey, look, they can't skateboard for 6 months, and they're scared of you forever. And you show everybody that you are the man, but that you're fair, that you're just. 1 leg each. It's tough, but it's fair.
As far as all the characters from Breaking Bad that are in Better Call Saul, he is the 5th most important, as he sort of brought the viewers into Better Call Saul itself. Now, for Breaking Bad viewers, we know that his story ends during the beginning of Season 2, and although he realistically didn't spend that much time in the show, it was very impactful. Aside from the Crazy 8 stuff at the beginning of Breaking Bad, Tuco was realistically one of the very first main antagonists of the entire series and universe. With that in mind, it was only logical to use him to captivate viewers and to reel them into the prequel, as he was the main attraction for the original premiere of Better Call Saul, along with the 2nd episode. With Tuco dragging Jimmy out into the desert with Nacho, they projected a lot of Breaking Bad vibes towards the audience, paralleling the first time we really saw Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad, as Walt and Jesse dragged him out to the desert. But Jimmy's clever way of talking himself out of certain situations shines in both moments, as it shows the true talent of Saul Goodman. Due to his slip in Jimmy past, we were able to see him use it to his advantage the entire first few episodes of Better Call Saul, from seeing through the skateboarders trying to con him, to hiring them himself, all the way to him convincing Tuco not to kill them out in the desert. And when Tuco reappears in Season 2 alongside Nacho trying to hire Mike to kill him, it just strengthens the character progression between Mike and the Salamancas, along with Tuco himself. In Better Call Saul days, we can see that although he gets hyped up when he does drugs, he can still be reasoned with for the most part. Tuco is still kind of rational, as he hasn't been fully consumed by his meth addiction yet. Although Tuco is definitely the smallest and most minor character out of everyone on this list, I believe that he had an important role to play in the show to introduce us to it, and we might actually see him again in the near future.
Quit moving, you're only gonna make it worse! Hell yeah! Hell yeah! He said he had a broke leg, now he's got one for real! You tell your mama you're sorry, bitch!
At our number 4 spot, I just had to go ahead and list off none other than Hector Salamanca himself. Now, Hector is one of the main antagonists of Breaking Bad, along with one of the main antagonists in Better Call Saul. Hector, being the right-hand man of Don Eladio, is a very high-ranking member of the cartel. He is very pretentious, stubborn, ignorant, and noble of his family. He believes that he is the most deserved of the cartel's success, and he easily gets insulted when anyone looks in his direction the wrong way. Now in Better Call Saul, Hector ended up first appearing on the show to meet with Mike in order to discuss Tuco, as he's Hector's nephew. The events that occurred between Mike and Tuco in Season 2 causes Hector to threaten Mike and his family in order to intimidate him. Hector's goal was simply to reduce Tuco's sentence, but he didn't quite realize who he was messing with. Ever since Mike's altercation with the Salamanca family, he's grown a hatred for them due to them threatening his family, causing him to actually rob Hector's truck and eventually disrupt his distribution lines on Gus's orders. This also brings in the origins of why Hector begins to hate Gus so much, as Gus is practically taking over Hector's place as the main drug smuggler. Hector has been one of the main characters of both shows, and as Better Call Saul continues, we get more and more character development between him, Gus, and Nacho. As we see at the end of Season 3, Hector ends up having his stroke, most likely putting him in the famous wheelchair from Breaking Bad. He's an intimidating hard ass that perfectly fits as a rival to Gus Fring, and I absolutely love the development between the two.
Don Hector, mine is a cartel business, but it is mine, and it is legitimate. My employees are civilians. Your actions here today have endangered them, my interests, and those of the cartel.
I am the cartel. And from now on, you are my mule. You are going to bring my product north.
And speaking of Gus Fring, he's our number 3 spot for this countdown. Gus is one of the main antagonists for Breaking Bad as well, along with one of the most predominant characters during Season 3 of Better Call Saul. He's an incredibly smart businessman, being the owner of a highly successful restaurant chain, along with being a major drug kingpin. Now, in Better Call Saul, we get his introduction during the beginning of Season 3, as he turns out to be the person that stopped Mike from assassinating Hector back in the Season 2 finale. Gus has had a personal vendetta against Hector ever since the flashback that we saw in Breaking Bad of his original meeting with Gus in 1989 at Don Eladio's place. And so the reason is because Hector actually shot Gus's protege in the head, killing him. Now, I've recently created a more detailed video discussing my opinions of Gus, along with my predictions on how he might be involved in the show during Season 4. But what I'm trying to get across here is that Gus hates Hector about as much as one person could possibly hate another. Gus has become obsessed with making Hector suffer, to the point that it ends up being one of his major downfalls in Breaking Bad. Anyways, in Better Call Saul, we first see the initial partnership between him and Mike take place, as they find the Salamanca family as their common enemy. We also briefly watch Jimmy's first ever interaction with Gus, although he is unaware of the importance of him, at least for now. Gus is a professional at hiding in plain sight, and he has proved time and time again that he is a very dangerous person to have as an enemy. Although he is quite the mastermind in Breaking Bad, we get to see a slightly younger, humble, and more naive version of his character in Better Call Saul. Not to say that he isn't smart or intimidating, but we haven't yet to see him fully morph into the version of Gus that we know from Breaking Bad. I'm very glad that they decided to bring this character into the show for Season 3, and I expect to see a lot more from him during Season 4. As we watch him continuously rise into more power, we'll just have to wait and see how exactly he reacts now that Nacho has caused Hector to have a stroke, almost killing him. I'm also interested in seeing the continuous partnership between Gus and Mike as they learn to trust each other further through respect and loyalty.
I've got a problem I think you can help me with. I've got cash I can't spend, about $200,000. If anything happens to me, my family will never see it.
Perhaps there is a way. One with a degree more difficulty.
Would 20% overcome this difficulty?
I would not take money from your family.
At our number 2 spot, we have none other than Jimmy McGill himself, the main protagonist of the show. Although we have yet to see him fully transform into Saul Goodman as of the end of Season 3, he's definitely getting there. Throughout the show, we've learned many things about Jimmy, one being his family setting growing up, along with his actions that led him to Albuquerque. While he was still a child, after hopelessly watching his innocent yet gullible father get conned time and time again by people just wanting an easy handout, Jimmy ends up getting influenced himself by a conman, telling him to either be a wolf or a sheep. Jimmy not wanting to end up up like his father, decides to become a wolf himself, and so he starts stealing out of his father's cash register. Now, a mix of his father's easy handouts, along with him stealing from the store himself, led to the early closure of his father's humble corner store, along with his death soon after. And after Jimmy's brother Chuck went over all the notes from the store, he noticed that around $14,000 was unaccounted for over the years and blamed it on Jimmy. So their parents never believed Chuck when he told them that it was Jimmy, and this was one of the major turning points of Chuck's hatred for him. Now, although Chuck has always hated Jimmy beforehand, saying that he could never keep his hand out of the cookie jar, the idea of Jimmy leading their father to an early grave really added fuel to the fire. And in one of the later episodes in Season 3, we see a flashback during Season 1 where Jimmy tells his best friend Marco his opinions of his father along with their shop. He pitied his dad all those years, and it really crushed him to see him practically get robbed time and time again.
It's a crying shame they lost this place.
They never should have bought it in the first place. My dad didn't have it in him.
What do you mean? Your folks worked so hard.
Yeah, they worked hard. They worked a lot of hours for a lot of years. For nothing.
I don't know, Jimmy. You know, a lot of customers, everybody liked him.
Everybody liked him because he was a soft touch, you know? Every deadbeat in the neighborhood owed him money. You come in here with a sob story, you leave with a pat on the back and a gallon of milk.
Jimmy figured that the place would have went under regardless of what he did, and that they should have never even bought the place. Now, in reality, Jimmy probably only ended up stealing a fraction of what actually caused the store to close down, but he was still an obvious problem. Now, although Jimmy became a con man, acquiring the nickname Slippin' Jimmy after he went too far gone one day taking a crap in someone's sunroof with the kids in the vehicle, he decides to turn his life around. He ends up begging Chuck to find a loophole for him to get him out of his illegal troubles, as he swore that he would move to Albuquerque and turn his life around. There's just so much to discuss here, and I don't want this entire video to become a Chuck versus Jimmy discussion, but needless to say that the chemistry between these two brothers in the show is extremely captivating and intriguing. From the first episode that I saw Chuck, I was interested in his condition, his situation, along with his job position compared to Jimmy. Jimmy always cared so much for Chuck no matter what, as he was his last blood relative, and that really meant a lot to him, and honestly, Chuck just used that to his advantage. That being said, Chuck hated Jimmy so much that he never even told him things like their mother's dying words, which were her calling out Jimmy's name in concern. The actors in this show just bounce off each other so well, and I think that that's a part of what makes the show so believable for me. This show really makes you feel for each character, as they all truly do have a good and bad side to them. Jimmy and Chuck have both done terrible things to each other throughout the course of their lives, and they both have their own issues as to why it ever happened in the first place. And with that in mind, Jimmy has had many other interesting relationships during the show as well. His relationship with Kim Wexler has proven to be quite the perfect match on multiple occasions, as they seem to truly understand each other, although they are so different. Kim puts up with a lot of crap from Jimmy, but she still cares about him and helps him regardless because she truly believes in him. A major aspect to Season 4 will most likely be the conclusion of their relationship somehow, as we all know that Breaking Bad doesn't include her. Although I'm not saying that she'll kick the bucket like Chuck, there will be some ongoing complications that jeopardize their relationship. Now, Jimmy has seemed to morph back into his Slippin' Jimmy ways, as he uses those methods here and there to get what he wants, whether he's pulling off schemes to sell his commercial airtime or if he's just conning somebody for shots with Kim, he's slowly reverting back to his old ways. I actually have a video discussing the fact that Chuck practically created Saul Goodman, which is the one thing he hates most, Slippin' Jimmy with a law license. Saul Goodman is essentially a combination of Jimmy McGill and Slippin' Jimmy, as we can see more during the end of Season 3 that Jimmy is truly starting to become darker and darker. We only have good things left to see from this character though, as he fully completes his transformation into Saul Goodman, along with answering the long-awaited mystery of what exactly is happening in the post-Breaking Bad timeline, as Jimmy takes up a new identity in a completely different location as a Cinnabon manager named Gene. I believe that Jimmy was the right choice to base the prequel off of, and I love everything that they've done with it since.
Here's what's going to happen. One day you're going to get sick again. One of your employees is going to find you curled up in that space blanket, take you to the hospital, hook you up to those machines that beep and whir and hurt. And this time it'll be too much, and you will die there, alone.
And as our number one spot of top Breaking Bad characters in Better Call Saul, I'd have to give it to Mike Ehrmantraut. Although I appreciate the Jimmy side of the story, Mike was my absolute favorite character in Breaking Bad, and that opinion does not change here. Although there are a lot of amazing characters in the show, I've just been so happy to get more content with Mike as we dive into his backstory, being what brought him to Albuquerque in the first place, along with how he eventually meets people like Jimmy and Gus. And so his storyline during season 1 was very interesting, and I honestly think that the episode 5-0 is hands down one of the best in the entire show. As Mike settled in Albuquerque, he took up a simple toll booth job at a local courthouse, which is where he met Jimmy himself. Although their relationship originally started off with a rough patch, after Mike gives him advice on the Kettleman's disappearance, they begin to grow a mutual respect and understanding for each other. I enjoy the interactions between Mike and Jimmy because, although they have different stories most of the time, they're not too far off from each other, and their worlds sometimes end up crossing paths. Whether it's Mike asking Jimmy for help with scoping out Gus, or if Jimmy's asking Mike for help involving repairing Chuck's door and snooping around, they seem to have created quite the effective partnership. Mike is a very calculating individual who efficiently performs his duties with ease. It's amazing how some of the best moments in this show are simply Mike quietly doing something for 5 minutes, at least in my opinion. He's so intense and strategic that he's almost become another MacGyver in that regard. His intentions are purely to provide for his stepdaughter and granddaughter after he's long gone, as he doesn't have much to do with the money himself. And so as Mike gets introduced to Gus Fring through their mutual vendettas against the Salamanca family, they begin working together officially by the end of season 3, and I assume that season 4 will involve a ton of Mike doing work for Gus, along with possibly involving Jimmy or Nacho as well. I hope to see more great things from Mike's character as he continues to evolve into the hardened assassin that we all know and love from Breaking Bad. What do you guys think? Feel free to leave your own top 5 favorites in the comment section below, as it's really interesting to see what characters people truly enjoy the most along with why. I'm really enjoying these top 5 countdown videos, and I'm thinking of continuing them here and there in the future, so if you've enjoyed anything I've said today, feel free to leave a like on the video or even subscribe for more Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad content in the near future. As always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Take my gun from me. Let me see it. Here. I'll make it easy for you.
You can make it not so easy.
Sure thing. You got it. What the son of a...